pues digan qué vamos a hacer. Ay, si están puestos pa' guerrear. Ay, así se van a esconder. Ay, pero a mí me tienen que matar. Ay. What's going on, guys? Thanks for coming back to another video. Today we are talking about Puesto Pa Guerrial. This is the 17th song in our Gringo's Guide to Bad Bunny's second album, YHLQMDLG, where we're going to be talking about every song on the album, looking at the Spanish, translating it into English. So if you are interested in learning Spanish, these videos are good for you. The song features Myke Towers, one of the big players in the Latin urban music scene right now. He is part of the new generation, but has been around for about 6 or 7 years at this point. But really, he's become more and more popular over the last couple years. One of the songs that he was in, which I would say really attributed to his success, was the song Darte with Alex Rose. Check that song out if you're not familiar with it. Song came out back in the beginning of 2018. And really, since then, Myke Towers has just been on fire. The dude has been in like every remix, virtually every remix that's been out there now. So he is very well known at this point. Great artist. Check him out. Myke Towers, good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the song title, Puesto Pa Guerrial. So the word puesto is basically a shortening of dispuesto, which is pretty much like a way to say ready, willing, and able. We kind of talked about that once already. Puesto is a shortening of that. I don't think it's really formal Spanish to say it that way as a shortening, but it's used quite a bit, especially in this type of music. Okay, so puesto would be the masculine singular, puesta would be the feminine singular, and then puestos and puestas would be the plural forms. Pa is a shortening of para, and because it is in front of the infinitive form of a verb, which is the full form of the verb, para is going to mean like in order to. Basically, at least that's how I usually think of it. And then guerrial is actually a misspelling and a mispronunciation of guerrear, which is a verb that means like to wage war or to go to war. So pretty much the title of the song would be like ready in order to wage war. You could just say like ready for war, basically. But the word guerrial, the reason why it's being said that way, the Puerto Rican accent, one of the big things about the accent is that words that end in the letter R are usually pronounced like an L. So the correct form of the verb would be guerrear, but you're going to hear it like guerreal. So that R kind of turns into an L. And then another thing that's happening here, and this happens in a lot of Spanish accents, not just the Puerto Rican one, but when you have the E before the A, like you do here, a lot of times you're going to hear it pronounced as the Spanish I. So instead of it being guerreal, it's going to be guerrial. Okay, so there's that slight little difference there. So they're writing it the way that they're pronouncing it. There also does happen to be a song already called Puesto Pa Guerrear. So they probably chose this alternative just to kind of distinguish the two songs. So let's take a look at the lyrics to the intro, the chorus, and Bad Bunny's verse. So the song starts out, Se pasan roncándome. So the verb here is pasarse, which is pretty much a way like to say to do something. We see the N on the end of the verb. That is what tells us that it's in the plural form. So depending on the context, it could be that he's addressing a group of people, like saying you are all, or y'all for short. Or depending on the context, could also be they are. Here, because of just the nature of the song, like the way this is basically like, you know, a declaration of war pretty much, we can be pretty sure he's talking directly to this group of people. So se pasan would be like you are all. And then roncándome, so the verb is roncar, which normally means to snore, but in Puerto Rican slang means like to talk shit, basically. So roncando, the gerund form, would mean talking shit. And then the me would be to me. So se pasan roncándome is going to mean like you are all talking shit to me. You could be like, you know, y'all be talking mad shit, something like that. Se pasan fronteándome. So once again, se pasan is like you are all, y'all are, fronteándome. So the verb would be frontear, which we talked a little bit about the root of that word front, which comes from English, meaning like to front somebody, as in like to show them up or like to brag in front of them. Here, I think a pretty good translation would be like to one-up somebody. So se pasan fronteándome would be like, you are all trying to one-up me. Okay, so that's pretty much the intro. So like y'all be talking mad shit, trying to one-up me. Okay, so the chorus, pues digan que vamos a hacer. So the pues is like so. Digan, again, we see that N on there, so we know this is in the plural form. Digan is a command coming from the verb decir, which means to say or to tell. So digan is like say. It's kind of going to be like, tell me, basically. Que vamos a hacer is literally what we are going to do. Okay, so instead of saying like, so tell me what we're going to do, you could say like, tell me what's good, tell me what's up. Because this is in the context of like, starting a fight or starting a war, you could be like, okay, so is this about to go down? Something like that. Si están puestos pa guerrear. So si is if, están, again, plural, you are all. Puestos, ready. Pa guerrear, to go to war, to wage war. O si se van a esconder, the O is or, si is if, se van a esconder, so the verb is esconderse, which means to hide. Okay, so, or if you are all going to hide. Pero a mí me tienen que matar. The pero is but. Tienen que is you all have to. And then matarme is kill me. So it's like, because you're going to have to kill me. In other words, like you're going to have to kill me in order to get rid of me, basically. Okay, so Bad Bunny's verse. Se pasan hablando con los astros para robarme las señales. Se pasan, once again, you are all. Hablando, talking. Con, with. Los astros. The Astros refers to the Houston Astros. Para robarme las señales. So, once again, when para is used in front of the infinitive form of a verb, it means like in order to. Okay, so you are all talking to the Astros in order to. Robarme means literally to rob from me or to steal from me. Las señales, the signals. Here, because we're talking about baseball, you could say signs. So, in more normal English, it's going to be something like, y'all be scheming with the Astros trying to steal my signs. Okay, it refers to the sign stealing scandal with the Houston Astros that happened a few years ago, where they had camera systems set up and everything, and were stealing the catcher's signs. Pero mi flow nunca les sale. But mi flow, literally my flow. Nunca means never. Les sale. So the verb is salir, which means to go out. Here it's kind of like to come out. And then the les is like from you all. It's plural. So it's kind of like saying, my flow will never come out of you. In other words, like you'll never be able to match my flow. Caminando con dos carros en los pedales. So caminando is the gerund form from caminar, so it means walking. Con dos carros, with two cars. En los pedales. So pedales, this is something I learned actually from watching a reaction video to this song. I'll put the link in the description. But the guy actually explained what this is because I really had no idea. So in the Dominican Republic, pedales actually means shoes. So in normal Spanish, pedales would mean pedals, like the pedals on a bicycle. But in Dominican Spanish, it means shoes. So by him saying, I'm walking with two cars on my shoes, kind of means like walking with two cars on my feet. In other words, his shoes are so expensive that they're the same price as two cars. Se viran Flo Rey Charlie y yo Mr. Rating Flo Rey González. Okay, so se viran. So the verb is virarse. Virar normally means like to turn around. But when they say virarse, it gives the meaning of like to turn your back. In other words, like to betray somebody. Okay, so Again, we're in the plural form, so it's like you all turn your back. Flow Ray Charlie. The flow here, the meaning of that is basically the same as saying like Ray Charlie or a la Ray Charlie. Okay, so Ray Charlie is this kind of like cult figure almost, Puerto Rican cult figure. He's basically like a dirt bike, ATV kind of guy. And he's known for, you know, being a daredevil and everything. But he's also known for like starting these huge rallies, like these huge motorcycle rallies and stuff. So pretty much what happened, the event he's referring to here is back in the beginning of 2020. There was a political protest against one of the political parties in Puerto Rico. And people called on Ray Charlie to like bring together his people, like call out his crew and like start this big protest. But he didn't do it. He didn't want to do it. And so people called him a backstabber for that. And later he was seen having been like in these pictures with these government officials and stuff. So Bad Bunny's kind of like referring to this event, saying like, you guys turn your backs like Ray Charlie. Now, from what I saw, I mean, it seems like, you know, he's been kind of forgiven for it. Maybe he apologized. I'm not really sure. But, you know, I don't want to talk a bunch of smack about Ray Charlie. I don't really know much about him. Y yo, Mr. Rating, Flow Ray Gonzalez. So, y yo and I am Mr. Rating. So, Mr. Rating is the nickname for this Puerto Rican wrestler whose name is Ramon Gonzalez Rivera. Okay, so that's his nickname. And then Ray Gonzalez is one of his ring names, one of his stage names. Okay, now, if I'm not mistaken, what this kind of means here is Ray Gonzalez, if you look into him, basically, you know, this character that this Ramon guy created, he's very loyal to this character. He pretty much goes around like taking on this persona of Ray Gonzalez. So what Bad Bunny's kind of saying is like he's loyal like Mr. Rating is to Ray Gonzalez. Okay. So, like, in other words, he is who he says he is, basically. Pero a mi manera o pa la calle, Sabio Vega. So, Sabio Vega is another Puerto Rican wrestler, and he's known for having this slogan, a mi manera o pa la calle. Pretty much the literal translation of that is going to be like, my way or the highway. Okay, so Bad Bunny is just comparing himself to that, saying like, you know, this is going my way or the highway. Sonando en todas las barberías y todas las bodegas. So we talked a little bit about sonando and how it's used in the last song. Literally means sounding. It's used to mean like, in this case, he's talking about himself. So it's like, I am sounding on the radio. In other words, like I'm playing on the radio. En todas las barberías, literally in all the barbershops. Y todas las bodegas. So a bodega is like a convenience store. You know, it would sound kind of weird to say convenience store in a song. So you could say like 7-Elevens. The line would be like, I'm playing on the radio at every barbershop and 7-Eleven. Something like that. Dicen como este cabrón todo lo pega. So dicen, we can see is in the plural form here. So it's like y'all are saying or y'all are asking. Como este cabrón todo lo pega. The como is how. Este cabrón, he's referring to himself, saying like this guy. So how does this guy todo lo pega? So that can be, the word order here can be a little confusing. So you can also say this like lo pega todo, which would be a little bit more literal when you translate it. The verb pegar means to stick. So it's like saying, how does this guy stick it all? In other words, what that means is like, how is it that like everything this guy does is so cool? How is he such a trendsetter? You know, something like that. Aprendí que los hermanos son hermanos y los colegas son colegas. So aprendí, past tense from aprender. I learned. The que is that. So I learned that los hermanos son hermanos. Literally, the brothers are brothers. You can drop the article and just say brothers are brothers. Y los colegas son colegas. And colleagues are colleagues. Okay, so basically saying like he learned to put his family and friends first and like not trust people who are only in it for the money. So you could probably say, like, I learned that this is business, not personal. It's not exactly the same thing as what he's saying, but it's pretty close. It kind of has like the same meaning. All right, so I hope you learned something. Puesto Pa Guerrial. This is one of my favorites, especially like in this little trap section of the album. Love the featuring. Myke Towers, perfect choice for this song. Love the beat. This is Súbelo Neo, who we've seen a bunch of times already, and Hazen, who produced the beat for Vete. So great collaboration there as well. And I hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions, and come back for the next video, which will be P fucking R. So see you then. Thanks for watching.